Good day, and welcome to our General Awareness course on the transportation of dangerous goods. My name is Stuart Sampson, and I will be your facilitator for this course. To talk a bit about myself, I am a Canadian registered safety professional and a professional engineer. I first became involved in the transportation of dangerous goods in the mid-1980s, when the regulations first came out, and have been a TDG trainer for the last several years. But enough about me. What about this course? Well, the course should take 3 to 3.5 hours in total for most people, but it is self-paced, so take as long or as short as you want, and feel free to take breaks between modules. You may also want to pause the video when we raise discussion points to give yourself a chance to think about the issue. And there is a quiz to finish the course. The quiz is 25 multiple-choice questions. It is open book, and since you can download it from our site, it can be done as we go through the material. To complete the quiz, just circle your chosen answer on the answer sheet pictured here, rather than the question sheet. Once done, send your answers in to the email address on the answer sheet, indicated by the red arrow on the slide. There are 4 downloads for this course. We've already talked about the quiz and its answer sheet. There's also a participant guide for the course. This is a handy reference, but also includes the answers to the quiz. Lastly, there are the TDG regulations themselves. To make sure you have the most recent version, we recommend you download the TDG regulations directly from the internet. Simply search TDG Regs Canada for the most current version. From this page, choose the laws.justice.gc.ca domain. Here, you can view the regulations on your screen as an HTML document. Or, by selecting PDF near the top of the screen where the arrow is pointing, download a PDF version. A warning though, while the HTML screen is in all English, the PDF version is a split document with English on the left and French on the right. Before I go too far into the course, I want to highlight that this is a general awareness course. As such, we will not get into details of specific areas like shipping explosive materials or ammunition, radioactive materials, infectious substances, or shipping things by air or internationally, other than by using couriers like FedEx and UPS. If any of these exceptions apply to your organization, you should review the relevant sections of the regulations and the standards. Okay, that's a lot of administration. Now to the course. In our 8 modules, we will discuss some TDG definitions, how to classify dangerous goods, a whole series of exemptions, shipping documents, placards and labels, and means of containment, ERAPs or Emergency Response Assistance Plans, reporting, and site registration. As you may realize, the TDG regulations are long, 648 pages to be precise. And there's a lot of detail which we cannot possibly cover in 3 hours. As a result, we will focus mostly on the issues that are most important and commonly used, while still covering all parts of the regulations. As we start, some of you may have wondered what brought on the TDG regulations in the first place. Well, they were the culmination of a series of events, one of the main ones being a train derailment in Mississauga, late on Saturday, November 10, 1979. This derailment resulted in the largest peacetime evacuation in North America, until Hurricane Katrina 26 years later. The train consisted of 160 cars that carried multiple dangerous goods, including styrene, toluene, propane, caustic soda, and chlorine. On the 33rd car, heat began to build up in an improperly lubricated bearing on one of the wheels, and eventually burned through the axle and bearing, and one axle and a pair of wheels actually fell off completely. The resulting derailment ruptured several other tankers, spilling styrene, toluene, propane, caustic soda, and chlorine on the tracks and into the air. A huge explosion resulted, sending a fireball 1,500 meters into the sky that could be seen from 100 kilometers away. On a personal note, I was one of the 250,000 evacuees, as I just happened to be home from university that weekend. Anyway, that incident caused a public outcry for more regulations, one of which was the TDG regulations. This brings me to my final point for this introductory module. Unless you are an emergency responder, the Transportation of Dangerous Goods regulations are not aimed at you. Most workers have all the information they need about the health and safety of the product through WMIS. TDG is for the crews responding to an emergency. They may never have seen your product before. It will ask them to extinguish it if it catches on fire, to block it from going down a sewer. In extreme cases, to decide whether to evacuate people. And what information do they have to allow them to make all these life and death decisions? TDG. So, as we go through this course and the regulations, try to keep the emergency crews in mind. Think of questions like, if I was responding to a chemical spill or a fire, what information would I want? And that concludes our introduction to this general awareness course. I invite you now to move on to Module 1, where we will briefly discuss some of the more basic definitions used in TDG.